Welcome to Honey Bee. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. I had been with my girlfriend for just over 2 years when she said something the day I proposed that completely turned my world upside down. Years later, looking back, I can only say this. Some people don't realize what they truly want until it's already gone. My name is Jake, I'm 28, and this is the story of how I learned that truth firsthand. Emma and I met at a friend's birthday party. What started as a casual encounter became something lasting, though neither of us could have guessed it that night. As we got to know each other, I learned she worked in marketing, energetic, opinionated, and always on the move. I was quieter, preferring order and structure. We were opposites in a way that felt balanced, even complimentary. Friends often told me she was perfect for my calm, reserved lifestyle. For a long time, everything between us felt steady. We traveled, met up with friends, and tried new experiences, usually her ideas. We spent nights binge-watching awful cooking shows, argued playfully about movie genres. She adored horror, I hated jump scares, and she even convinced me to go through haunted houses. We had our rhythm, and even though disagreements came up now and then, they never felt like deal-breakers. At least, not until I started thinking about our future. Before I proposed, there were hints I missed, subtle signs that she might not want the same life I did. One night, talking until 3 a.m., we shared stories from our childhoods. Emma described growing up in a home where she had to fight for attention, where unpredictability kept her feeling alive. She said she craved adventure and challenge to feel grounded. I, on the other hand, came from a peaceful family that avoided conflict, where I learned to find comfort in planning ahead. Those differences once drew us together, but in time, they quietly pulled us apart. In the weeks leading to the proposal, I suggested slowing down, staying in more, having quiet evenings, and talking about our future. But when the conversation turned to starting a family and settling into a calmer life, I noticed hesitation in her answers. Even after I'd expressed my vision, I'd catch her scrolling endlessly through posts about solo travel, van life, and life on the road. I didn't know where she truly stood, so I decided to ask her directly, by proposing. It was a weekend. I made her favorite dinner, set the table like it was a holiday, lit candles despite the 85 degrees heat. I paced the kitchen, running through what I'd say, unsure if I should get on one knee or just hold her hand. I was nervous, but certain she'd say yes. I was wrong. Midway through dinner, I brought out the ring and asked her to marry me. She was silent for a few seconds before saying, "I love you, Jake, but I'm not ready for the boring couple life. I want to feel young and have fun for now." Her words hit me like a punch. I thought we shared the same vision, but I had been building a future with someone still holding on to her past. She insisted she wasn't rejecting me, just the idea of commitment. She wanted to travel, meet people, stay out late, live without ties. I realized in that moment that I wasn't the partner she wanted for this chapter of her life. I was the later she wanted to postpone. We ended things that night. She moved out the next day, and our 2-year rhythm dissolved instantly. The first month after was surreal. I'd wake in the middle of the night, delete our old messages, then restore them. I'd linger too long over photos. My life felt hollow. I'd drive aimlessly at night, just me, the road, and the hum of the car. I started writing letters I never sent, some angry, some apologetic, all attempts to make sense of how quickly love had vanished. By the 3rd month, after constant misery, a friend convinced me to try therapy. One day there, I was asked to describe my mornings without Emma, and I realized I'd started enjoying small things again, like making coffee just for myself. The silence that once punished me began to feel peaceful. I'd take my coffee out to the balcony and notice the world again. I was no longer just surviving, I was living. Meanwhile, Emma's Instagram filled with music festivals, blurry selfies with new guys, captions about freedom and rediscovery. Mutual friends told me she was seeing someone new, a tattooed, van-living nomad who embodied everything I wasn't. They went on spontaneous road trips, hiked remote trails, danced at desert raves. It was loud and chaotic, perfectly her. Hearing how easily she replaced me stung, but I stayed distant. She had chosen noise over the life we might have built. A year later, the fog began to lift. I reconnected with hobbies, started running again, spent time with friends I'd drifted from. I moved into a downtown loft. High ceilings, exposed brick, a view of the skyline that made mornings feel full of possibility. It was then I met someone new. We connected online, no wild story, just a few messages that became a coffee date. I didn't reveal much about my past at first, but she never pressed. She understood that people carry quiet stories they may share in time. She introduced me to her world slowly. She noticed the little things I mentioned. There was no rush, no pressure, just presence. She and Emma couldn't have been more different. Where Emma thrived in chaos, she thrived in calm. Emma lit up every room, needing to be seen. This woman knew the strength in quiet observation. With Emma, love was a roller coaster, thrilling but always on the edge of crashing. With her, love felt like walking a well-worn path through a peaceful forest, still full of discovery, but safe and steady. One night, she showed me old family videos. Her father had passed years ago, and these were some of the only pieces she had left of him. We watched her 8th birthday. She laughed and cried at once, and I just held her hand. She whispered she hadn't shown these to anyone in years. I realized then how much she trusted me, not just with her time, but her past. By the 2nd year after Emma, this relationship had grown naturally. No games, no guessing. She celebrated my small wins and saw me clearly. She never pushed for labels, just kept showing up. Then the past found its way back. I ran into Jess, Emma's best friend. After catching up politely, she told me Emma had been asking about me. Her relationship with the van life guy had ended badly, a fight in Tulum over money and a cancelled flight. He left her stranded mid-trip. After that came a string of short flings. Jess said Emma was drinking more, showing up late, and sometimes hinting, after a few drinks, that she might have made a mistake. One night, Jess told me Emma had broken down crying at her door, admitting the freedom she'd wanted now felt empty. She chased excitement, but it never lasted. No one made her feel truly known. She felt lost, not just in the world, but in herself. Jess said Emma needed me. I told her it was too late. A few days later, Emma messaged me, asking to meet for coffee. We met at the same cafe we used to visit on lazy Sundays. She looked as beautiful as ever. After small talk, she asked if I ever thought about us. She said she'd replayed my proposal 100 times and realized she wasn't ready then, not for marriage and not to be fully seen. Vulnerability scared her. She was drawn to people who never asked for her whole story, because telling it meant confronting parts of herself she didn't like. Her words were honest, but I told her I had found peace. I was with someone who didn't see my steadiness as boring, who didn't need chaos to feel alive. Emma just nodded, like she knew this was coming. When we stood to leave, she hesitated, then simply wished me well and walked away. That was the last time I saw her. Afterward, I wrote more, about how I'd often put my needs last, over-explaining and over-apologizing to keep the peace. I realized real love doesn't ask you to dim yourself to keep someone else comfortable. It asks you to shine and trust the right person will stay. Emma hadn't been the villain. She was just someone running from her own shadows, the way I once tried to earn love by being safe. Healing wasn't about winning, it was about understanding the wound. Now, with Sarah, I don't have to try to fit. Even in silence, she understands me. One evening, while I was cooking with music playing low, she hugged me from behind without saying a word, and I realized how far I'd come from the man who once needed someone's approval to feel enough. I wasn't just moving on. I was building something real, quietly, steadily. For the first time, I wasn't just surviving love. I was living it. Some heartbreaks feel like endings, but they're often the beginning of something better. Not everyone who says, "I love you," is ready to live it. Some need to chase chaos before they understand the value of peace. And the right person. They won't confuse consistency with boredom. They'll see it for what it is, security, depth, and love, and they'll stay.